So here we go. We're going to start right out with our first guest, and I'm going to dispense with all the notices that I usually do because I want to give all the time I can to the guests. In our first segment, we have Laurie LaFond. She's sitting next to me, and then Wendy Hall. Did I get that right? Wendy Hall, right? And then Cliff Oliver. He's a photographer and a publicity person, right? You do a little this, that, and the other. Yeah. And behind me, I have, this is Daniel, right? And Jonas is coming on, and they each have a different bird, and we're going to be talking about that. We are talking about Friends of the Washington County Grasslands IBA, and we're going to be talking about this, and then the Adirondack Wildlife Refuge and Rehab Center. So that's what we're talking about today. So tell us what's going on, Laurie.
Well, Friends of the Washington County Grasslands IBA is a nonprofit that I founded about 5 years ago, and we're working to conserve habitat for endangered short-eared owls and other at-risk birds.
And this is a short-eared owl?
That's the short-eared owl right there.
Oh my goodness.
And
what beautiful eyes.
Yeah, they're incredible. And in the winter, they will flock together, and I've seen as many as 24 of them, and they'll start swooping over and under each other, and before they start foraging. So it's an incredible sight, and this habitat is critical to their survival in New York State.
What do they eat?
They eat primarily mice and voles, small rodents like that.
Okay.
And we have other at-risk birds, about 10 altogether, but the whole Washington County grassland supports about 200 bird species. So it's an incredible habitat that we're working to conserve. And we have the Winter Raptor Fest, our 4th annual this year. And it's an event we founded to raise awareness of these birds, and it supports our efforts to protect their habitat.
And people can go, it's a 2-day event, is that correct?
It's a 2-day event.
29th and 30th?
March 29th and 30th. We have free flight, raptor demos, and live bird of prey programs. Wendy is one of the educators that comes to the event. They bring a lot of different raptors, and
it's a beautiful. I'm sorry, I'm listening and I'm looking and looking. Can I just say one thing? This bird is so alert. I mean, looking and looking and looking and looking. I mean, I imagine he's looking for a mouse somewhere, but we don't have any here. So.
I was just going to say you might.
We might. Shall we just let him loose? So, Wendy, you're part of the Rehab and Refuge,
yes,
right?
I'm a co-founder of the Adirondack Wildlife Refuge and Rehabilitation Center, and we partner with Laurie with the important bird area, the IBA, because we basically do the same things. We promote responsible stewardship of the earth and and conservation of habitat. And these are our indicator species, our, if you will, canaries in the coal mine.
Yeah, exactly.
They tell us what is going on with the environment, and it's extremely important for us, as we are the Jonas, Daniel, and I, and a couple of other wildlife rehabilitators that we work with are the first responders, and we see, firsthand what the habitat is.
If there's too much pesticide, then
exactly.
things aren't born, the eggs aren't developing,
right,
or the animals,
DDT,
the little,
but there's others now still.
Yeah,
there's others, so yes, so that is an indicator species that we use.
And Clifford, you're involved with this as well, is that
I
right?
am. I'm just totally in love with these birds.
I know.
Yeah, they just fascinate me. Their skills and ability. You were saying how alert this bird is. Their hearing exceeds their vision.
Really?
They can hear. One of the things I found out that.
That's why we put you on first, because we were worried about the music with the birds.
Well, they can hear your heart beating in your chest.
Oh my good. So they're a good indicator that I'm still alive.
Very much so.
This is beautiful. Now we know that this is not a pet bird. So how did you get this bird?
This bird actually is from Utah, and oftentimes wildlife rehabilitators, when a bird cannot be released back into the wild, but it can have a quality of life, so it can be used as an educational bird, which is raising public awareness.
I see.
So this bird was found on the side of the road, but we're not sure whether it was a neurological due to pesticide, because it has a crooked beak. It flies, but it cannot be in a cage. It eats, but it cannot be in a cage larger than 10 feet.
Okay.
Because then it can't find its food. So we're pretty certain that it had neurotoxins.
Okay, all right.
So yeah.
And you brought another bird too, so we'll bring that in as well too.
Yeah.
I think this is so important because we look at these creatures. They're just magnificent. We had photos. Did you show the photos, Greg?
Yeah, he just ran.
Okay. I wasn't looking. I was looking at the real thing, So, And the video. You already showed the video? Okay. Okay, good. Let's talk about that. Maybe they can switch birds in. Okay. There it is. Now this is where you're located, or?
This is in the heart of the grasslands. The first one you saw, the short-eared owl, we were actually watching for that day, and one of my board members, Tom Welcome, took that video. It was hard to get them all together though, because they kept passing each other. And this is some video I took this winter. We've had quite a few snowy owls this winter. There's been an eruption of them, and so this is another bird that is a regular visitor to this important bird area. And the kestrel.
And there's the quetzal, right?
Kestrel. This is
kestrel. I'm sorry.
Yeah, an American kestrel. They are our smallest falcon, and they're also another species that is out in this habitat and is a rapidly declining species. So there's projects that DEC is working on, a nest box project to help build the population back up.
Where would I see? Would this be in my backyard? Would it come in my backyard, do you think?
It could if you had fields. They like fields.
They like fields.
Often
okay.
you'll see them along high wire lines, and they have a beautiful flight. They'll, unlike other falcons, they'll hover over their prey, and a rapid wing beat, and then boom, they'll pounce down there. Yeah,
well, we have some big hawks in our backyard, and they go after squirrels. It's like I'm yelling to the squirrel, "Don't go up the tree! Don't go up the tree!" Because I figure it's going to get caught if it goes up that tree. That hawk is going after it.
Yeah, no, these are much more.
And so, what do they eat? Do they eat grain, or will they eat crickets and things?
Crickets, yeah. They'll eat large insects, very small birds.
Mm-hmm. They will eat birds?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you have a bird feeder, that's an attraction to a lot of birds of prey.
Okay.
Primarily mice and voles, and they'll eat a lot of grasshoppers. And during the summer breeding season, I've seen them catching snakes. And,
really? Oh
yeah, but it depends. Like when other easier prey is around, they don't really go after the songbirds that I've seen or heard about. It's during like the winter months or when they can't get the easier prey like mice and voles and grasshoppers that they will go after smaller birds.
Well, this is a beautiful bird. I mean, and I loved that it made a little welcoming sound when it came on and chirped a little bit. But I heard that and I'm thinking, can I remember what that sounds like so that when I can go outside and I hear the birds. I have a clock that has the different bird sounds because I'm trying to learn them all, and it's not easy.
No, it's not.
It's interesting why we have him, though, because you're mentioning what they eat. He had metabolic bone disease because someone took him out of the wild and fed him the wrong food.
Oh, really?
And Jonas basically saved him by giving him lots of insects when he was still young.
So he was eating bird seed rather than...
No, he was eating beef.
Oh, beef.
And lamb.
Beef and lamb.
Which his body couldn't metabolize because that's totally
How
wrong.
did he get the beef and lamb?
Yeah.
You mean he was getting it in the wild?
No, she said
McDonald's.
Someone took him out of the wild. They found him on the
and they
ground.
thought it's a bird. It probably can't eat worms. I can't get worms, so let's give him beef and
Many
lamb.
times people don't understand that when an animal is fledgling
Okay.
and learning to fly, they fly from the ground up. Their parents are communicating with
Yeah.
them, but if they see them on the ground, they assume
That it's
that
fell out
they
of the
have been
nest.
abandoned and take them. And in this case, this is the history for this bird. So Jonas found so many grasshoppers and saved him. So
Yeah, that's really great. Well, you could buy crickets, I think, at some of the pet stores, too, to feed to as well. I mean,
yeah.
But we don't recommend that you take any of these animals from the wild. And if you want to see them, I would recommend that you go to the Raptor Fest. And now, do you have like the peregrine falcons there
yes.
as well? And the harriers?
We have pretty much every native bird species. People can come out to the Raptor Fest and see a lot of these birds. They'll see some of them in free flight when some of the presenters do the free flight with their birds. And we also have horse-drawn sleigh or wagon rides, activities for kids. New this year, New York State DEC is doing a radio-telemetry tracking demo.
Oh, nice.
And it's the same thing, like they've been capturing the short-eared owls
and tagging
putting a transistor on them, or I mean a transmitter, and then they will track them. So they're going to put it on a stuffed owl, let the kids hide the stuffed owl, and then they'll go out and they'll use the same unit to find that, and so they'll learn about it.
Yeah, and I think it's so important to have your kids learn about nature and have such a respect for for nature and to protect it. That's so important. We tend to see people want to just tear down this habitat and put up something.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Anything, but don't do it. I mean, if you can, if you have a large back area, let some of it go to wild and put some nice, wildflowers in there, something for the birds to go after. Sunflower seeds, good? Are they good?
Sunflowers are good for some of the
Some of the
songbirds.
birds,
Yeah.
good.
Not for these birds. These
Not
are,
for these?
Not for
no,
our
these are all-
raptors.
Well, they're
these
not
are
going to go
all
for them anyway.
No.
They want the
carnivores.
meat.
They would
Right.
attract the animals that go for the seeds, and they would be attracted to the
them,
animals
yeah.
that go for the seeds.
Yeah. See, I mean, isn't nature great?
Yeah.
Somebody,
called
this was
balance.
great design, right? So, we want to thank our guests today, and especially our handlers that brought in Jonas and Daniel. They brought in the short-eared owl. And I do want to remind you that you can go to this great event, and it's in Fort Edward, and on the 29th and 30th, and go and just bring your kids and enjoy the outdoors. It's going to be warmer, believe me, a little warmer then. And the birds don't care what the weather is, probably. They're out there all the time, right?
They like it cooler.
They like it cooler, so they're going to be happy if you're happy now. So check it out, and be sure to enrich your lives by learning more about these beautiful animals or creatures. They're not animals, are they?
Yes.
Yeah, they're animals.
Animals, yeah. Different form of life. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you
for
next
having
year, I
us.
hope.
Yes,
Good.
I hope so.